The title is the topic. Today I'm talking about the foundation. This video is an observation based on what I know and what I've seen, and I hope it will give you a different perspective on what is actually going on. The first thing I want to discuss is what people on Anita Sarkeesian's side are trying to do, or more specifically, the people behind the scenes. I said this in my video, Rundown on Jonathan McIntosh. If you think this is all about female representations in games, you need to think again. His real agenda is about a complete restructuring. I'll defer to one of his most recent tweets. February 3rd, 2015. Gaming could be a perfect medium to help relearn values of empathy and compassion, but sadly, it's most often used to promote the opposite. To all you people out there that say they are in it for the money or that they are in it for the attention, you need to wisen up. I don't recall the exact date I uploaded that video to my first YouTube channel, but on my computer it says the video was created on February 8th, so I probably uploaded it around that time frame. That claim was made by connecting dots, but I couldn't technically prove what I was saying. Then sometime later, Jonathan McIntosh posted these tweets on April 19th, 2015. The Feminist Project isn't to create strict gender equality within the current framework. The goal is to transform the entire social system. Fundamentally, transformation of society requires dismantling patriarchy and devaluing its core pillars of domination, violence, and control. It is essential that we work to decouple violence and domination from the concepts of masculinity. Transform the entire social system, dismantling patriarchy. These sound like the words of someone intent on restructuring society, which is what I had said a couple months prior based on a hunch. Jonathan McIntosh is also in some ways what I consider a behind-the-scenes kind of guy. He has meetings with and talks to people such as game developers and other personalities involved in gaming, but for the longest time, Anita Sarkeesian was the one front and center, going on television, making public appearances, doing interviews. McIntosh does some of this stuff, but it's mostly Anita. Setting McIntosh aside for 1 second, I'd like to reference some videos I'm linking in the description down below. The first one is called OMFG Ninja, #Gamergate Smoking Gun, posted on the OMFG Ninja YouTube channel back in April. It's a meeting that happened a few years ago where a group of people talk about where they think video games can go and what they can accomplish, as well as some other things that are shown toward the later part of the video. There's a lot of talking about how games can influence and change people. It also shows some connections people have behind the scenes. Some of the stuff they want to accomplish is speculation and wishful thinking, but it isn't necessarily proven or guaranteed it will happen the way they want it to. It's an hour long, but it's well worth the watch if you want to know how these people think and what some of them actually want to do. Another video I want to reference is #Gamergate, actually it's about, posted on the Seattle for Truth YouTube channel back in May. This one focuses more on the connections aspect of things and some of the ideology involved as well. This one's a few hours long, but again, I think it's worth watching if you have the time. One of the people mentioned in the video happens to be none other than Jonathan McIntosh. I started to figure out what he was all about during the course of my research for my videos. Had I learned some of this stuff last year when I first started making videos, I would have been shocked. Anymore, when I learned these things, I'm not surprised. What I learned about him was the further you research, the deeper the rabbit hole goes. At one point I got tired of digging because it was eating into the time I needed to do other stuff, and I don't have the time, resources, or experience to do this sort of research, so I'm glad there are other people doing it. I'm also linking a playlist on the same channel called Common Core and the Depopulation Agenda. There are financial ties, so I'm not sure how much of it is about money and how much ideology, but for some people on that side, I'm pretty sure they are more concerned with changing people in the long run, as I think that is the end goal for some of them. Part of what they are doing on that side is to dismantle the video game industry as we know it so they can get the games they think they need to make their agenda happen, and they want to get rid of games that don't fall in line with their ideology, or that they view as harmful even if it can't be proven that they are harmful. Just to give you some talking points on how to identify this line of thinking. You see them say things like there are too many white male protagonists, too many men and not enough women, not enough minorities, too much sexism. I'm not opposed to game design choices that will improve the industry, but their approach is to demonize and vilify rather than try a more civil approach. With this vilification and demonization process, they can convince more and more people to see it the way they do. If enough people view these games as harmful, or view these developers as the bad guys, they can try to accomplish change through social pressure. They can also, given the time and proper arguments, convince some developers to make these changes.
Studied extensively.
You also hear things like toxic masculinity. They have their own perception of what it means to be a man and want everyone to abide by that mindset, even if people disagree with what it does and does not define manhood, or what is or is not acceptable behavior. They also attack game design choices. Ever hear the criticism of violence as the primary form of engagement? They want games to be altered to be more about humanizing people within games. They also attack how many games involve killing. They want games more focused on things like exploration and building as opposed to violence and killing. Another thing I've also heard is why spend so much time building a beautiful world just to destroy it? All forms of violence should be framed as tragic. When you focus on these talking points enough, you begin to see what some of these people are really about, and it isn't just Jonathan McIntosh that has this mindset. There's an ideological battle going on right now, but I think both sides have issues, and I may expand upon this in a future video. I also don't think everyone on Anita's side are the problem you may think they are. Some of these people get wrapped up in this ideology because that's just the way they think, but some of this stuff may be more radical or extreme than even they realize. For example, in recent history, I saw some people bashing on the game Bloodborne, but when some of them sat down and played the game, they were more prone to say how fun it was rather than attack it. Some of those people are more reasonable in their approach and got caught up in picking sides due to the way things ended up in recent history. Some of the people pulling the strings aren't necessarily front and center, and some of them aren't openly engaging in the bickering or e-wars that happen to be in the public eye. When I get around to my next video, I'd like to focus more on how this plays into the current environment. I'd like to give you my perspective on things. In the meantime, I encourage you to watch those videos and get educated on what's going on behind the scenes. If you like this video, I have a playlist tackling Anita Sarkeesian and her work and encourage you to check it out. It also includes reviews of her Tropes vs. Women in Video Games series.
I get a lot of support from people who really like my videos, and they've even been used as educational tools in classrooms. Educational tools.
I leave my audience with one question.
Oh, did I win?